Every single thought you have is a seed. Imagine your mind as a vast, fertile garden where each idea, each belief, each reaction is like a tiny seed planted in the soil of your consciousness. Some seeds are powerful and nourishing, growing into strong trees that bear fruit for years to come. Others are weeds, creeping silently and choking out the possibilities you didn't even realize were there. If you plant seeds of doubt, fear, and limitation, that is exactly what will grow in your life. The weeds of negativity will take root, and soon, no matter how hard you try, the garden of your mind feels overgrown and unmanageable. But here is the truth that most people never realize: you have the power to choose what to plant. You can uproot the weeds of limiting beliefs, the patterns of thinking that have been handed down, absorbed from childhood, or picked up unknowingly from those around you. You can plant seeds of possibility, resilience, and hope, and with patience and care, these seeds will grow into a reality that once felt impossible. This is not just metaphor, it is the very foundation of every life-changing transformation. When you begin to consciously choose what thoughts you nurture, you begin to change the very structure of your reality. Think about it for a moment. Every person you admire, every innovator, artist, athlete, or leader you look up to started with a mind that was willing to believe differently. They looked at the same world everyone else saw, but they chose to see opportunities where others saw obstacles. They planted seeds of courage in soil where most people planted fear. And slowly, over time, those seeds grew into achievements, into legacies, into lives that inspire others. The mind is not fixed, it is adaptable, malleable, and profoundly responsive to the energy you feed it. If you feed it fear, worry, and self-doubt, you will see fear, worry, and self-doubt reflected in your life. If you feed it courage, optimism, and curiosity, you will see those qualities reflected back in the opportunities, connections, and successes that flow toward you. Now, this doesn't mean it is easy. It doesn't mean that simply wishing for better thoughts will instantly change everything. Changing your mindset requires awareness, practice, and relentless attention. It requires that you catch yourself when negative, self-limiting thoughts arise and replace them with alternatives that expand your potential. It means recognizing the patterns of your past, the doubts, the fears, the excuses, and deliberately choosing to reframe them. Every time you consciously replace "I can't" with "I can," every time you replace "I am not enough" with "I am growing and learning," you are planting a new seed, a seed that has the potential to grow into something remarkable. The beauty of this process is that it is cumulative. Small changes in thought, consistently practiced, create exponential changes in life. Just as a single seed can grow into a tree that produces hundreds of fruits, a single empowering thought can inspire actions that ripple out into countless successes, relationships, and moments of joy. You begin to notice that challenges are no longer purely obstacles, they are tests, invitations to strengthen your mental garden. Each difficulty is an opportunity to plant resilience, determination, and creativity. Each setback is a chance to water the seeds of perseverance and patience. And over time, your garden transforms. What once felt barren becomes fertile. What once felt impossible becomes achievable. And here is the most incredible part: your mindset is not determined by external circumstances. You do not have to wait for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect environment to begin planting these seeds. The transformation starts within. You have the ability to shift your perspective in this very moment, to see your current situation not as a limitation, but as a canvas. Every thought, every belief, every mental habit is a brushstroke painting the picture of your life. When you take control of your mindset, you take control of your narrative. You no longer allow external factors to dictate your feelings, your actions, or your potential. Instead, you become the gardener of your own destiny, carefully tending to the thoughts and beliefs that will grow into a life of meaning, fulfillment, and success. The shift is subtle at first, almost imperceptible, but it is unstoppable once it takes root. You start to notice possibilities where you once saw dead ends. You begin to trust your abilities, to see failures not as judgments but as lessons. You realize that every setback contains a seed of growth, that every disappointment carries a hidden opportunity. You move through life with an awareness that your thoughts are not random, they are creative forces. And the better you understand and nurture them, the more extraordinary your life becomes. So if you truly want to change your life, it starts here in the garden of your mind. Pull out the weeds of negativity, plant the seeds of possibility, water them with consistency, and watch as your world transforms in ways you never imagined. You have the power to create not just small improvements, but radical shifts that ripple through every area of your life. Your mindset is not a passive reflection of life. It is the engine that drives it. When you embrace this truth, the ordinary begins to feel extraordinary, and you step into a life that reflects the immense potential that was always inside you. You've been told, you can't, more times than you can count, and somewhere along the way, your mind started believing it. You've internalized limitations that were never truly yours, rules and expectations that were handed down, absorbed from others, or accepted because they were convenient to believe. But what if you flipped the script? What if the default response to life's obstacles became, I can, instead of, I can't? Imagine the possibilities that open up when your mind no longer accepts restrictions as facts, when your thoughts are free to explore what is possible rather than what is impossible. Changing your mindset doesn't just influence what you do, it transforms how the world responds to you. It affects your perception, your decisions, your energy, and even the people and circumstances you attract. When you see possibilities, the world responds with opportunities. When you see limitations, the world reflects them back, reinforcing the very barriers you fear. Every achievement in history started with a mind that refused to accept the limitations placed before it. Every breakthrough, every discovery, every act of courage began with someone deciding to think differently. They refused to allow doubts to dictate their choices. They refused to let fear define their boundaries. Instead, they chose to challenge their assumptions, to imagine beyond the visible, and to act despite uncertainty. And the remarkable truth is that you have that same power. It isn't reserved for the elite, the lucky, or the naturally gifted. It is available to anyone willing to change the way they perceive the world. It begins with the simple but profound decision to view every obstacle as a stepping stone and every no as a challenge to discover a better path. When you shift your mindset, you start seeing life differently. Situations that once caused stress or anxiety suddenly appear as puzzles to solve. Problems that felt overwhelming become opportunities to grow. People who seem to block your path are now teachers, helping you refine patience, resilience, and strategy. Life stops being something that happens to you and becomes something you actively shape. You begin to recognize patterns that once held you back, and you deliberately choose to act in ways that move you closer to your goals. This is not wishful thinking, it is conscious mental cultivation. Every thought, every belief, every mental habit can either empower you or limit you, and the choice is yours. Changing your mindset also transforms your approach to failure. Most people fear failure because they define it as the end, as proof of inadequacy, or as a reflection of their worth. But when your mindset shifts, failure becomes a teacher rather than a judge. Every mistake is data, every setback is feedback, and every defeat is a stepping stone toward mastery. You start to see that the only true failure is the refusal to try, the unwillingness to learn, and the insistence on being constrained by what you think is possible. With a growth-oriented mindset, setbacks are temporary and progress is inevitable. You begin to cultivate resilience, adaptability, and the courage to keep moving forward no matter the circumstances. Fear, doubt, and hesitation lose their grip when your mindset evolves. You begin to realize that most of the limitations you've experienced were self-imposed or borrowed from the world around you. Once you recognize this, you can actively choose new mental patterns. You can replace "I am not ready" with "I am learning and growing." You can replace "this is too hard" with "I will find a way." You can replace "I am not enough" with "I am constantly improving." and I have what it takes to succeed. These shifts might feel small at first, almost imperceptible, but they accumulate with incredible force. Every positive thought reinforces a new reality, every empowering belief strengthens your confidence, and every courageous action reinforces the mindset that makes bold achievement possible. The difference between those who achieve greatness and those who don't often comes down to one simple principle: the courage to see the world differently. It is not talent alone, nor luck, nor circumstances. It is the willingness to challenge conventional thinking, to question assumptions, and to adopt a mindset that sees potential where others see limits. When you embrace this approach, life stops being a series of barriers and starts being a series of opportunities. The impossible no longer intimidates you because you have trained your mind to look for possibilities first. You begin to attract experiences, relationships, and opportunities that align with your new mindset. The energy you project becomes magnetic, and the world mirrors back the possibilities that now exist in your mind. Your mindset is the lens through which you view reality. If the lens is clouded with doubt, fear, and limitation, your world appears small, challenging, and restricting. If the lens is clear, focused, and oriented toward growth, your world expands, revealing options and opportunities that were always present but previously invisible. Changing your mindset is not about ignoring reality or pretending that life is perfect. It is about choosing to respond to reality from a position of empowerment rather than limitation. It is about consciously deciding to interpret circumstances in a way that supports growth, action, and achievement. Every moment becomes a choice to remain trapped in old beliefs or to step forward into the expansive possibilities that a new mindset can create. And the most powerful aspect of this transformation is its ripple effect. When your mindset changes, your actions change, your habits change, your energy changes, and your life inevitably changes. Those around you notice. Your influence grows, your confidence spreads, your environment starts to reflect the new reality you are creating. You become a living example of what is possible when someone refuses to be constrained by old thinking. You become proof that mindset is not just an internal state, but a force capable of shaping entire lives, communities, and even generations. Fear is one of the most powerful forces holding people back, quietly shaping decisions, actions, and even dreams. It lurks in the shadows of the mind, whispering limitations, convincing you to settle, and stopping you from reaching your full potential. But here's the truth: fear is only as strong as the belief you give it. It thrives on what you perceive to be possible and impossible. Change your thinking and fear begins to lose its grip. When you begin to shift your mindset, you start to see fear not as an enemy, but as a signal that something important lies ahead, a signal that growth is possible. You begin to understand that fear is not a barrier, but a guide pointing you toward the areas where your courage, creativity, and determination need to grow. Once this realization takes root, everything changes. Obstacles that once paralyzed you become invitations to step into strength. Challenges that once seemed insurmountable become opportunities to rise higher than you ever imagined. Most people let fear dictate their lives because they believe it is permanent, immovable, and undeniable. They believe the voice in their head that says, "You can't, you'll fail," or "It's too risky," is the absolute truth. But the moment you recognize that these thoughts are not facts, they are habits, patterns, and mental constructs, you gain the power to challenge them. You can replace the voice of fear with the voice of possibility. You can reprogram your mind to respond to challenges with confidence instead of hesitation. Every fear confronted and every limiting belief questioned is a seed planted for courage, self-trust, and empowerment. Your mind is not a prison, it is a canvas waiting for the choices you make to define its future. When your mindset shifts, failure is no longer final. Fear often convinces you that failure is something to avoid at all costs, but a growth-oriented mindset teaches you that failure is merely information, a teacher, and a stepping stone. You learn to view mistakes not as proof of inadequacy, but as evidence of effort and experimentation. Each setback becomes a lesson, each challenge an opportunity to improve, and each obstacle a chance to refine your approach. The stronger your mindset becomes, the less intimidating failure appears, and the more empowered you feel to take bold actions that move your life forward. Success is no longer a matter of luck or circumstance. It becomes a matter of persistence, learning, and the courage to keep going even when fear tries to convince you otherwise. The power of mindset also lies in perception. Two people can face the same situation, but their outcomes are vastly different because of how they interpret it. One sees a problem, the other sees an opportunity. One sees limitation, the other sees possibility. When you actively choose to change your mindset, you shift your perception, and your perception determines your reality. You begin to see solutions where others see obstacles, paths where others see dead ends, and opportunities where others see risk. This shift is not wishful thinking. It is the active exercise of mental discipline, curiosity, and resilience. Your thoughts shape your decisions shape your actions, and your actions shape your life. When your mindset aligns with courage, creativity, and possibility, life begins to reflect that alignment in every area. Relationships, career, personal growth, and beyond. Embracing a mindset of possibility also transforms how you relate to yourself. Fear often stems from self-doubt, the feeling that you are not capable or worthy. But when your mindset shifts, self-doubt begins to fade. You start to see yourself as capable, resilient, and worthy of achieving your goals. You recognize that your value is not dependent on external validation or past failures. You begin to act with intention rather than hesitation, with confidence rather than insecurity, and with determination rather than doubt. This self-belief is contagious. It influences your environment, your decisions, and even the people around you. When you step into your power, fear diminishes, and your life expands in ways that previously seemed impossible. It's also important to recognize that changing your mindset is a practice, not a one-time event. Fear may not disappear overnight, and old habits of thought may resurface when you least expect them. But each time you confront fear, each time you choose possibility over limitation, each time you take action despite uncertainty, you reinforce the mindset that allows you to grow. Over time, what once felt impossible becomes routine. What once felt frightening becomes manageable, and what once felt unattainable becomes achievable. Your mind becomes your ally instead of your adversary, your greatest tool instead of your biggest obstacle, and your superpower instead of your limitation. The ripple effect of this transformation is profound. When you change your mindset, it affects every part of your life. Your choices improve, your relationships strengthen, your work becomes more productive, and your potential becomes visible to you and everyone around you. You begin to live with purpose rather than hesitation, with clarity rather than confusion, and with courage rather than fear. You no longer allow the whispers of doubt to determine your actions or your future. Instead, you step into a reality shaped by belief, resilience, and intentional thought. You become proof that fear is not a wall but a mirror, reflecting where growth is possible and courage is required. Ultimately, the power to transform your life lies within your mind. Fear is inevitable, but it is only as strong as your willingness to let it control you. By changing your mindset, you gain the ability to see challenges as opportunities, failures as lessons, and fear as a guide rather than a jailer. You become the master of your thoughts, the creator of your reality, and the architect of your destiny. Your mind is the most powerful tool you possess, and when you wield it intentionally, there is nothing you cannot overcome, nothing you cannot achieve, and no limit to the life you can create. Now, I want you to imagine something for a moment. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff, looking down at the unknown below. Your heart races, your palms sweat, and fear whispers in your ear. You can't do this. It's too risky. You'll fail. But what if, instead of listening to fear, you listen to a different voice, a voice inside you that says, I am ready. I am capable. I can do this. That voice is your mindset speaking, your power waiting to be unlocked. And the truth is, it's not just a voice, it's a choice. Every day, every hour, every moment, you can choose to feed fear, or you can choose to feed possibility. So I ask you, what will you choose? You see, change doesn't happen because life suddenly becomes easier. Change happens because you decide to see the challenges, the setbacks, and even the failures as opportunities. I want you to hear this clearly. Every no you've ever received, every door that slams shut every time someone told you, you can't, is not a judgment of your worth. It is an invitation to prove them wrong. But not for them, for you. For the person you know you are capable of becoming. And here's the beauty of it: you don't need permission. You don't need validation. You don't need approval from anyone else. All you need is the courage to step forward, the courage to believe that the mind you nurture today will shape the life you live tomorrow. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to look at the fear that has been holding you back and say, "Thank you for showing me where I need to grow." I want you to look at the doubts you carry and say, "I will challenge you every single day until you no longer define me." I want you to look at the limitations others have placed on you and say, "You don't control my future, I do." Say it out loud if you have to. Say it until it echoes in your mind and becomes a truth you cannot ignore. Because mindset is not just about thinking differently. It's about believing differently, acting differently, and living differently. Let me remind you of something very important. You are not defined by your past. You are not defined by your failures, your mistakes, or the opinions of others. You are defined by what you choose to think, how you choose to respond, and the actions you choose to take. Right here, right now, you have the opportunity to plant seeds in your mind that will grow into a life beyond what you imagined. Every thought is a building block. Every choice is a brushstroke. Every action is a step toward the masterpiece of your life. And the most powerful part, you are the artist, the architect, and the gardener. You hold the pen, the paintbrush, and the watering can. Your future is in your hands, and it is waiting for you to claim it. Now I want you to think about all the times you held back because you were afraid. Think about all the opportunities you didn't take because you told yourself, "I can't." Now imagine what your life could look like if instead you had said, "I will try, I will grow, I will overcome." Imagine what your career could look like, your relationships, your personal growth. Imagine waking up every day knowing that your thoughts, your mindset, and your determination are shaping a life you actually want to live. That is the power you hold. The power to transform fear into fuel, doubt into direction, and obstacles into stepping stones. I want to ask you again very directly, what will you choose? Will you continue to allow fear and negativity to plant seeds in your mind, or will you take control, pull out the weeds, and plant seeds of courage, optimism, and relentless determination? Every great life, every remarkable achievement, every story of transformation starts with that decision. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when conditions are perfect. Right now, in this very moment. And here's the secret: you are stronger than you think. You are more capable than you believe. You have ideas, talents, and resilience that have been waiting for your permission to shine. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to know exactly how it will work. All you need is the mindset that says, "I am willing to try, I am willing to learn, and I am willing to grow." That is enough to begin. That is enough to take the first step. And once you take that first step, momentum builds, confidence grows, possibilities multiply. Your world begins to change because you began to change your mind. So I challenge you, right here and right now, to commit to something powerful. Commit to nurturing your mind, to challenging your doubts, to facing your fears, and to believing in your limitless potential. Speak to yourself with encouragement, not criticism. Act with intention, not hesitation. See opportunities where others see obstacles. Treat failures as teachers, not enemies. And most importantly, refuse to settle for anything less than the extraordinary life that is waiting for you. Remember, your mindset is your superpower. It shapes your reality, it influences your actions, and it determines your destiny. The world around you will reflect the energy and beliefs you cultivate inside you. So feed it wisely. Feed it courage, hope, and possibility. Feed it resilience, creativity, and determination. Feed it the unwavering belief that no matter the circumstances, no matter the challenges, no matter the voices telling you otherwise, you are capable of achieving greatness. And finally, I want you to take a deep breath and say to yourself, I am ready. I am capable. I am unstoppable. Say it until you feel it in every fiber of your being. Say it until it becomes unshakable. Because when your mindset shifts, your life transforms. The ordinary becomes extraordinary. Fear becomes fuel. Limits become opportunities. And you become the person you were always meant to be. The person who refuses to be defined by anything less than their full potential.